So there's 8 hours left in the NBA trading deadline. The latest intel is basically that both the Orlando Magic and the Toronto Raptors, both of them have competitive offers really for, obviously, for the Raptors case, they have Kyle Lowry and they also have a Norman Powell, both of which are linked to the Sixers, both of which I would want. In the Orlando Magic case, that's a separate deal involving them and the Celtics and maybe the Nuggets. Both of those franchises have to come to a decision. I'll deal with what for us first and deal with why Toronto has to make a decision. Kyle Lowry is 34 years old. He's on the last year of his contract. Does anyone seriously think that this dude is interested in riding the pine for the next few years in Toronto? The answer to this is no. So some people discuss the sign and trade possibilities. The problem with that is that once you put yourself in that position in the offseason, are you going to get expirings at that point in the sign and trade? Are you going to get young players in addition to those expirings? No. I mean, just go look back at the last few signing trades that there actually was, and you'll see that there's absolutely minimum value in a signing trade. Like, basically, if you wait to the offseason, you basically eliminate Philadelphia as a possible destination if you're a Raptors general manager. So are you willing to let go of a Tyrese Maxey, maybe a Tony Bradley or a Matisse or whatever it ends up being? Are you willing to let that go? Just because you might get only one of the three or two of the three, or maybe the one that you didn't really want but still is valuable to your organization? I don't know. Do you really go in that direction? And then there's the Miami Heat. You know, you keep holding out the Tyler Hero, which I personally think the Tyler Hero is overrated. Numbers say he's overrated. The Miami Heat look at him as white Michael Jordan. Is absolutely freaking hilarious. I have never seen an organization and a fan base so misappropriately value the player. But if you are that irrationally high, it does make sense that, Larry's about a decade older than Tyler Hero. And from that standpoint, I can understand it, even if I honestly believe that Tyler Hero is incredibly overrated, is not the white Michael Jordan, and you damn straight to the trade him for James Harden to begin with. What the bleep were you thinking? Harden and Butler together in championship. Butler and Tyler Hero? Butler doesn't have time for Hero to develop into the Jordan that he'll never be, by the way. Come on. Like, I expect more out of Pat Riley, Mickey Anderson, and that Heat organization. Come on. Stop overvaluing Tyler Hero. I mean, continue to do so to feed a clock so we can get Lowry, but if I were, as a neutral fan, speaking to the Heat, I'm like, what are you doing? Tyler Hero is a nice three-point shooter. He can create a little bit off the dribble, but he's not the white Michael Jordan. He's not the next great Heat. He's just a role player. At 21 years old on a rookie contract. He's good, but not as good, not even close to what they think and thought. Like, come on. But although it does make sense that if you did not, and you idiotically did not choose to trade Tyler Hero for James Harden, don't trade him for 8-time, 10-time All-Star, multiple time scoring champion. Don't trade him for a franchise superstar that's going to elevate you to the next level. If you're not willing to do that, you most certainly cannot lose space even more and trade it for Kyle Lowry. So I don't see the Heat ever parting with Hero from the standpoint of you don't want to double down on your own stupidity. Like, if other opportunity becomes available, if the Bulls and Levine decide a divorce, or if that a deal and the Wizards decide for a divorce, that would be more the thing that Miami should be looking at from a Tyler Hero perspective, if you really believe he's white Michael Jordan. But no, he's just a solid player. If you do trade him for Lowry, you ain't losing too much. If you trade him for a Beal or a Levine down the road, obviously he can recoup the value that they lost by not trading him for Harden in the first damn place. So there's that. I think the Heat fans and front office are completely and totally delusional as it regards to Tyler Hero's actual on-court value. But I digress. That's good for us. So the second player, and the player that I'm loving as much as more than Kyle Lowry, is Norman Powell. Now, everyone seems to love Norman Powell. There are dozens of teams interested. But again, of those dozen teams, this is where knowing the market comes to mind. Who has young players and who would trade these young players? Detroit doesn't have young players. Cleveland does, but they're not in a position where they will want to trade them. After all, they still have that stupid Kevin Love contract extension. How did you sign that contract extension and obviously not have LeBron? That makes no sense at all. That makes absolutely zero sense. And now the Cavaliers have this hamstring cost in that. Is the contract so big they're not even able to buy it out? Kind of similar to when the Wizards signed David Bertans for $75 million. This is the beautiful thing about the trade deadline. I get to poke the stupidity around the league and like, what are you doing? That makes absolutely no sense. It made no sense at the time of the signing, and it makes even less sense now. Like, dude, you made the wrong decision. So Cleveland has you, but they're not going to offer that. The Pelicans, honestly, their whole thing is that Lonzo Ball might be a really, really good player, and I would like to see if he did Lonzo Ball. Reportedly, that also is quote unquote a long shot. Funny thing, even though the Sixers are the most youth assets, the most expirings of anyone else, we are apparently supposedly a long shot for any player of marginal value that we are linked to. I call bullshit. I'm calling bullshit because if you're a rebuilding team, there's not a lot to look to. So, as an example, that's one of the reasons I believe that we were in one of the front seats for Harden. It's like who will outbid us for Harden? Turned out that the Nets wanted to mortgage everything and trade 8 first round draft picks. It turns out that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to trade 8 first round draft picks, 4 first rounders, and 4 swaps. But now that the Nets did do that, no one else can offer that kind of package. And quite frankly, Kyle Lowry himself not worth that kind of package anyway. But no one else can offer anything remotely similar to what Philadelphia is capable of offering on the market. Milwaukee has traded its pick. Miami has traded its pick, as described by Bobby Marks of ESPN. The Lakers have traded their pick. The Clippers have traded damn near every pick. And for, oh my God, Marcus Morris Sr., Luke Kennard. If you're a Clipper fan, you got to be pissed. Your team is not a contender, it's a pretender in the Western Conference. And it's because Steve Ballmer and that front office has, oh my God, every move they made has been the opposite of the Midas touch. So if you're a Clipper fan, you're like, damn. Like, you ended up moving a Tobias to clear the cap for Kawhi. And then you look at Tobias Harris, number 1 seed in Eastern Conference. Like, you're a Clipper fan, it's got to be absolutely miserable knowing that every time you make a move, it will automatically be the wrong one by default. That's got to be depressing. That has got to be the most depressing existence that there is in the NBA right now. But my point is, you look around the league, realistically, there isn't any competitive offers. So let's look at the Heat offer, for example. They will trade either one of Olynyk or Dragic. Dragic is a player option, and even Dragic, or is it a team option, I believe. he has an option on the second year of his contract. If it's a team option that makes sense, if it's a player option, of course he'll accept it. Why wouldn't he? Goran Dragic is at the point of his career where earning another 18, $20 million is a hell of a lot better than earning 7, 8 million. Like that's a net loss of $13 million. You think Goran Dragic is really about that life? Although I have to believe that it's a team option, otherwise he would not be discussed at all for the Raptors. Who have made their demands clear. They want expiring, they want young players, and they want first round draft pick capital for Kyle Lowry in the trade. So it's going to be Dragic, Olynyk, and maybe a combination of Kendrick Nunn and Robinson. But if you're the Heat, you got to be thinking Kendrick Nunn is a pretty solid young point guard, and Duncan Robinson can shoot the hell out of the free ball. So you're going to be losing some shooting, you're going to be losing a lot of youth, and you're going to be basically losing your capital. It's basically saying we're going to sign Kyle Lowry now. But if you're in Miami, why not wait till the summer? You can sign Kyle Lowry, and then we sign guys like Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn with your you can re-sign Kendrick Nunn and Duncan Robinson with Bud Light. I mean, it's obviously better for Miami in the long run to bow out and say, okay, we're going to let Kyle Lowry become a free agent. The only reason you really do this is because you don't want Kyle Lowry to test the agency if you're the Miami Heat. But then you got to ask yourself, is Kyle Lowry really worth that? It's from Miami's perspective. From our perspective, it's different. I'm going to explain our perspective in a moment. But from the Heat perspective, you have outright cap. And Kyle Lowry is he'll probably be among the top 3 or 4 free agents, but he isn't the best of this upcoming draft class, I believe. The agency class. So if you're the Miami Heat with all this cap space, it really does not make sense. You know that Kyle Lowry is confirmed to be a free agent. You know he'll be an unrestricted free agent. And you know damn well that he's not signing with the Toronto Raptors. The dude made a freaking peace sign at the end of the game. Kyle Lowry gone, confirmed is known. The destination is not. But if you're a key organization, if you're Mickey Harrison, you have a damn good shot of signing this guy at the agency. And even if you don't sign him, there are other high caliber free agents available who might not be 34 years old, who might make more sense. Or make as much sense to where you don't have to trade your young shooters. So I'm looking at it if he can afford to bow out. Now, let's look at our situation as it pertains to the Toronto Raptors. I want every Sixer fan to understand this. We are one of those teams that Will Josky talked about that is over the cap, but we're expiring and young players. This has a unique advantage for us in the offseason. It does not matter. Let me repeat. It does not matter whether we sign Kyle Lowry to an extension or not. We are already over the cap. We are already over the salary cap. It doesn't mean anything if we extend Kyle Lowry. There is only one person who should be concerned with a Kyle Lowry extension, and that is Jonathan Harrison's pocketbook. You'll be closer to the luxury tax. You'll be a luxury tax paying team in the next couple of years. That is the only person who should be concerned about Kyle Lowry's price cap for 2 years, for 3 years. That's the only man that should be concerned. No Sixer fans should be concerned about Kyle Lowry, the contract, etc. Unless Kyle Lowry comes up with an injury or something out of nowhere, he will play at his normal level in 2 years. I don't look at Kyle Lowry as one of those super athletes where he'll just lose his 15, 5, and 7 on incredible 3-point shootings in the field. At least for the next 2 years, I don't see that at all. So I just want every Sixer fan to understand this. From a salary perspective, it's not a problem. You're already over the cap. Whether you do it or not, you're still going to be over the cap. The only difference is whether or not you bring him in uniform or not. From a roster perspective, from a fan perspective, it's do we have him or do we not? And there is no upside in not having him. So clearly, the 2-year, $50 million extension, why not? You lose nothing. We lose nothing. The only person who will lose something is Jonathan Harrison's pocketbook. Maybe a little bit less gas on the helicopter. But we have Jonathan Harrison's ownership has been a really unique, trippy ride of sorts. They said that they were going to be really aggressive and they swing for the fences with the final trade, which I famously loved when I was at the Constitution Center all those years ago. Obviously, that did not work out, but you swung for the fences. And then they undergo the process, and they lose a lot of capital and money in the process for those couple of few years. But then it was more like an investment, a penny bank investment, because you end up getting Joe B, you end up getting Ben Simmons, even though you blew a lot of picks in the intermediate. So yeah, the process worked, but not because Sammy D worked it. I really want to distinguish those two things. You know, there were 30 for 30 and a lot of fans and a lot of people known for the Sixers would come. I would be opposite of like the Ricky Sanchez and D Bozic. I'd be like, look, the process worked, but not because he worked it, not because he made good draft picks, but because he was lucky that Jerome B suffered on Africa. And that's it. I just want to be brutally honest about what occurred with the process. It was luck, not so much, ooh, we drafted well and we maneuvered and we acquired assets to bring great players. That we did what Morey did to me Harden to the Rockets. No, it wasn't that level. It wasn't even remotely close to that. We were lucky and we also screwed ourselves out of a lot. So that's the truth about the process right there. But it was daring enough to entertain the process to begin with. So props to them on that. But then, obviously, Adam Silver comes in and you allow the nepotism, and that nepotism was the start of really a downward spiral in terms of organizational decision making, which then leads you to making Elton Brand a de facto puppet, and you continue to make more mistakes like trading capital and assets for Jimmy Butler only not to bring him back. Now that's on some Sixer fan mind, so let's address this for a minute. I think everyone notices by now, and it should go without saying, that this is a different coaching staff and a different culture. Doc Rivers does not believe in controlling people. Doc Rivers does not have enough confidence in his skin. And, you know, to piggy off of what Brock Landers said, Doc Rivers is a Hall of Famer. I got the name mixed up. We'll start with DR. Sorry about that. But Brock Landers, he himself said it. Doc Rivers, and I've always believed this, Doc Rivers will go in the Hall of Fame. He will be a Hall of Fame coach in this league. So there's already a magnificent difference in terms of, ooh, we're going to sign or we acquire players on last year's contract. There isn't going to be the need for control. There isn't going to be some insecure organization. That's the biggest difference in having Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers. There is a confidence in the organization. I mean, a confidence in themselves. Never mind what we feel about them. We're obviously very high on them. But there is a confidence in the organization that essentially will be like, you know, we're going to have a good program. We're going to have players in our locker room that we trust. There's a different vibe than the, you know, on that Ringer interview, they were all like scared to he's opening Jimmy Butler. He's kind of raises his hands. Stuff like that, that's not happening. It's an open dialogue situation with Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey. So that's the one major positive. The other positive is this: you're already to the luxury tax. You're already capped out team. if John Harris is true to what he said this a couple of years ago and kind of reiterated it with the Al Horford signing, that he is prepared to spend the content. If that's the case, whether it's Kyle Lowry's contract extension, or whether it's Lonzo Ball contract extension, or whether it's Norman Powell contract extension, because they're already at the cap anyway, this is really your only way to acquire a player of that caliber, and it's absolutely to no loss if you sign and extend somebody. We don't lose anything, Sixer fans. In fact, if it's Alonzo Ball or Norman Powell, we gain a lot because both of those guys are young enough. Powell is 28, Ball is 24, 25, that they will be here for the duration of Embiid and Simmons' prime. And that's another reason why I'm a bit high on Powell, because he's younger and fits the core a little bit better. Quite a bit better, actually. So I just want to reiterate this to Sixer fans who are confused. The money is not, should not, by any stretch of the imagination, be a problem. If it's a problem, then Daryl Morey himself said it actually in his introductory comments. Daryl Morey said he wanted to go to an ownership that's willing to spend. So if it's a problem, then Daryl Morey's going to be like, dude, you lied to me. You lied to me when you said you were willing to spend. So make no mistake, the salary is not a problem. It is not a problem. The problem will be youth that we give up, and can we get the depth back, particularly Matisse Thybulle is a tricky 40 situation. I'm not high on Matisse Thybulle. I made that kind of clear in a couple of videos. I think he's replaceable, but the unfortunate thing is not that there are a lot of wings around the league. And then because it's a Kyle Lowry trade, for example, $20 million, you're almost guaranteed to have to trade Danny Green. So you're going to get your point guard, but your small forward position is fucked up unless you move Shake Milton to the free. So there's that kind of dicey scenario. That is more Daryl Morey's concern. But if this organization commits to its promise of spending money, then it is absolutely no problem at all to get the veteran who wants a contract extension, or getting one or both of the unrestricted free agents in Ball and Powell who are getting one contract extension. You said you were willing to put the dime, pen to paper. You said you were willing to spend the money. There is no reason that you shouldn't be able to make a move in terms of the starting lineup. Zero. You said you were willing to spend. You kind of showed it in Al Horford. All this is doing is taking that Al Horford money and putting it in a position of need instead of Embiid insurance, because you got that now. So now you can actually take that money that you awfully used last offseason, and you can now use it to something that helps you out. Long term helps you out. That's what's happening here. That's what's happening here, Sixer fans. What's happening here is taking that, what you could basically call in NBA terms, like the NFL, this is basically dead money, and now taking that dead money and putting it somewhere useful. That's all that's happening here. Or that's all that should be happening here. If it doesn't happen, Daryl Morey and myself will be looking at each other and be like, what the fuck? You said you were going to spend, but then when the time came to spend, you held back. What? Really? Nah, bro, not about that. So today, this afternoon, and this morning is about Joshua Harris waking up and being like, I see the championship. I smell that Larry O'Brien trophy. I smell Jerome B down Broad Street, Ben Simmons down Broad Street. I smell being a hero in Philadelphia. I smell the opportunity. And let's not act like it's a total loss. If the Sixers win the championship, I mean, Forbes makes a report about the evaluation of the NBA every year. The Warriors skyrocketed in value. What that championship did for the Toronto Raptors, players will actually want to come to Toronto, and players will want to build a Canada legacy now that that legacy includes a championship. When you win one, and we haven't won one since 1983. 1983. The valuation of our franchise, and therefore, in terms of Jonathan Anderson's pocketbook, it will go way up with a championship as opposed to not. So you're investing money to make more money, which every venture capitalist does. So whether it's minor moves for the bench, or whether it's, you can do both. Get the starter and get yourself some bench pieces. But regardless, I am expecting us to make moves. Not just because Daryl Morey is a great general manager, and he is, but because I'm holding this owner to his promise. He said he was willing to spend for a contender. That's what he said. It's time to put your money where your mouth is and invest in the championship for your franchise. Well, forever hold your peace, dude. Like, don't come to the media and say we're going to spend and not. This is where you could be a great owner, or you could basically be the Dan Snyder. You know, it's not so much Daryl Morey that's on the clock. But for me, Jonathan Harris, you're back on the clock again. Great job getting Doc Rivers. Great job getting Daryl Morey. Get those two guys the tools to deliver the promise. And this is ahead of schedule. I thought it was a gap year. We were going to wait for 2022 free agency. I thought it was a gap year. But because Joel B is the MVP, because Tobias Harris is picking up his game tremendously, you literally catapulted beyond any of your expectations. And that's, you know, you ask Daryl Morey, that's a great thing. If you ask him, he's like, it's always wonderful when a player outplays expectations and changes the plan. Because there's no reason for a gap year now that we're a contender. Now that we're the best team in the conference, there is absolutely no need for us to gap year. Now we pivot that forward. This is what we've been waiting for when we drafted Joel B and Ben Simmons to begin with. So I'm looking at Jonathan Harris with really critical eyes. Dude, this is everything we said that we wanted. This is everything that we put ourselves in a position. 4 years of bad draft decisions and going through the process. All of this accumulated to this moment right here. Pull the trigger. That takes two to tango. If Toronto does accept Miami's top offer, then whatever. But then you pivot. You go and get a Norman Powell, and you get either a George Hill or Alonzo Ball. I don't care. Be an active player in these last 8 hours. Come on, dude. You have the money, you have the capital, and you have the best team in the Eastern Conference, if not the NBA. You have zero incentive to not make a move. And you have every incentive to help Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers put the money where the mouth is, Jonathan Harris, and invest in this basketball team. So what is, you know, like I said, I was on RB's trade deadline, conversation, and I said you could do a lot, you could do a little, or you could be in the middle. I want us to be in the middle. I want to see at least that. Like I said, number one seed the East. It's different. The gap year strategy doesn't make sense anymore. Now you're at a point where you can put some chips in. You can put reasonable chips in where we got a report even far back 4 months ago. The Sixers want to make moves without giving up your big three. So now you're in a position to do this. You're in a position to add to your team and put yourself in the best position possible forward without giving up your big three, which is the goal. The goal is at hand. The goal and the opportunity is at hand to do something. I'm not so hung on it. Obviously because Kyle is from Philly, that would be really exciting, but that doesn't mean as much to me. What matters is that we win the championship. A nice sort of Philly storyline is ultimately irrelevant. But my whole thing is this: you can't do nothing First of all, your bench is fucking atrocious. Like, I know that they're only kind of prop them up, kind of trying to sell them a little bit, but come on. We watch the games. Of the 13 losses you have, I would say 6 of them is because of subpar bench play. Like, Shake Milton, the only bench scorer, and he's really inconsistent last 7, 8, 9 games. I mean, that says it all. The Shake Milton inconsistent score is your bench player. So you need at least 2 or 3 bench players. You need to get Mike Scott the hell out of my sight for being one of the most worthless players I've ever seen. Hey, Doc, why isn't B-Ball Paul getting these minutes? I'm sorry, but Mike Scott ain't doing shit. I don't even mean that, Tobias Harris, he was on the old man of the feed talking about casuals. This isn't even casual. The guy gets 1 rebound in 11 minutes. Holy shit, right? Ooh. And I'm someone who watches the game. So I do watch. Are you in a position to make a defensive play? Are you in front of the guy? No, not really. Like, he's not getting beat. He's not giving up points, but he's not scoring anything either. It really is cardio. The dude has 11-minute cardio run in the NBA, and it's just sad. I was a part of the Mike Scott Hive. It's sad at this point. If you were a Hive guy, you know it's sad if you isn't even putting 3 points on the board. It really is at a point now where Mike Scott has to retire. If you can't do anything when you step onto a court, you don't even foul. That's the funny thing. It's not like he's in foul trouble. It isn't like, for example, that scrub, Jonah Bolden, would just foul everybody within a second. This dude, Mike Scott, doesn't even foul. You're just standing there on the court. I can't think of a more worthless basketball player right now than Mike Scott. Like, you're a great dude. I'm saying worthless specifically related to the basketball court. What are you doing? Like, what are you even doing right now? So Mike Scott's wasting time. Furkan Korkmaz is a part of that inconsistency. When he's on, he's on. And then you also have defensive questions about Furkan Korkmaz. To use a little better terminology, as it relates to the playoffs, right? Furkan Korkmaz can't defend crap. So you have a bench need at the very minimum. Like, there is no reason you don't address the bench today. No reason. Why is Tyrese Maxey not getting these minutes? I know he's 19, he's long. Sometimes you see the rawness. But what's the plan for this guy? Are you going to keep him behind Seth Curry and Shake Milton for the duration of his rookie contract? What are you doing as it relates to Tyrese Maxey? I don't know the plan because, see, here's the thing. Tobias Harris is 28 going on 29. Joel Embiid, 27 going on 28. Ben Simmons is going to be 24 going on 25. Tyrese Maxey doesn't fit the age core. He isn't within 2 to 3 years of these players. So what on earth are you doing? I mean, I understand from their voice perspective, it'll be a valuable trade asset. It's only valuable if you pull the trigger so everything comes right back together. There is no reason whatsoever that this team should be quiet today. And if it is quiet today, can we win a title? Possible, but I kind of put it at 35%, to be honest with you. So I expect and I hope Russ to make a move. This is Sixers Universe with a little trade deadline. Before we do anything, unless they did do something in these 34 minutes recorded this, but little premium before we might make a move. Sixers Universe signing off. Peace.